Welcome to FYI, the podcast where we have brief career chats with various professionals. My name is Diana Ramirez.
And my name is Sarah Shamasha. We are first-year experienced counselors, aka FYE, hint hint to our podcast name. Our vision with this podcast is to share the career journeys of alumni who started at the community college.
We are starting in 3,
2.
What?
Woohoo!
Welcome to yet another episode. Hope you're getting cozy because in this episode we're going to have a chill vibe, Sarah. Chill vibe. What do we have for the agenda today?
Today we're just going to get to know each other a little bit better. We have a few questions that I don't really know much about Diana, but also you'll get to know more about me and Diana, just so you know who your hosts are. And then we're going to have a recap of the episodes that we have so far. And lastly, we have a viewer question. So we're just going to answer that towards the end.
That's awesome. Yeah. So obviously our goal is to bring you different perspectives, but you listen to us monthly, right? So it's important to get to know a little bit of who we are so you feel a little bit more connected with who we are as a person, our career journeys, and all of that kind of good stuff.
Cool. We are going to be answering the same questions, but I'll start you off first. Are you ready?
Maybe, because I don't really know. Like, we had some questions, but I didn't take time to reflect. But this is good, right? It's kind of more like a on your toes.
Right. It's like rapid fire questions, except you don't have to answer quickly.
Okay. So semi-rapid, not rapid, one answer, whatever you want, just to get to know us.
One sentence, maybe 1 minute, but keep it brief, please.
Okay, no more than 1 minute and 1 second. After that, you're getting cut off.
That's it. I'm just going to go to the next question.
You're like, okay, get started already.
Okay, first question should be easy, hopefully. What's something you're really passionate about?
Okay, so I'm going to answer 2 things with this one. One, I am very passionate about my job. I feel very blessed and lucky to have found my journey as a community college counselor. And I promise I'm not saying it just to look good. I truly love my work. I am a first-year experienced counselor, so meeting students one-on-one is amazing, but also the program side of things, I just love it. It allows me to be creative. It allows me to connect. It allows me to challenge myself. And we mostly work in an office, right? But I also find it that it still moves enough that it's not the same thing every day. So I love it. I need some stability, but here and there it's always nice to do something different.
Yeah.
And my last one, it's just a current passion. Okay.
Yeah.
So I am passionate about Avatar, The Last Airbender. I love it. I've been rewatching it since the live action came out. And then I'm like, man, it's just so many gems in this cartoon show, but yeah. I just love it. So I'm currently really passionate about Avatar, The Last Airbender. So if you want to leave me some love in the comments and let me know why you love Avatar, please, I would love to hear about that. All right. Now, same question to you, Sarah. What is something you're really passionate about?
Before you answer my question, have you seen The Legend of Korra?
I have. I haven't finished it.
Okay.
I was a little hesitant to start because some folks were like, oh, I didn't really like it the same. Yeah. And so I was like, but yeah, I haven't finished it, but I still like it too.
Okay. Because yeah. I'm a very big fan of the Avatar as well. So maybe after the podcast, we can have a little conversation.
Yeah, definitely. I have lots to say about Avatar. So I said I'm passionate, so I can talk. We can talk.
Okay, sounds good. For me, I guess what I'm passionate about hobby-wise is also just generally speaking. So I'm really passionate about learning in general, which is why I love reading and working my job, because I feel like with my job I get to learn a lot of stuff, but also learn about people. So it's I enjoy reading because I get to learn about different things and just kind of expand my mind, but I also enjoy doing my job where I get to learn about different people. And I think the other thing I'm really passionate about also connects with the other two, which is connection. So one thing I really care about about making happen is having like good relationships with people and connecting with people, which is again another aspect why I love being a counselor, but also why I love traveling, because I get to learn about different cultures but also connect with different people from different cultures. So I would say traveling and reading are some things I'm passionate about that also lead to other aspects of my life. I've been reading a lot, so I'm very passionate about the book I'm reading.
That was going to be my question. Any book recent or goodie?
So two things I've been reading. One is like a book that people can read. It's like by C.S. Lewis. It's called The Great Divorce. It's kind of like an imaginary religious thing, but like it also can be read by anyone. And then I'm reading a fantasy web novel. I don't know if you know what that is. Maybe
No.
the youngsters and so it's basically novels that are put online, and they're usually either Korean, Japanese, or Chinese, but they're translated into English, and it's like a fantasy thing. Yeah, very niche type of reading, but I really enjoy it. It's like you could just read on your phone. So
You said it's online.
yeah, it's all online.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah,
maybe
see,
that-
I am learning about you.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Okay. Alrighty. Oh yeah, you asked me the next question.
Good. You're good. Second question, rapid fire: coffee or tea?
Very easy tea, 100%. No thoughts, nothing about it. But okay, I have a story for this. So
Okay.
I love the smell of coffee, and I feel that I wish I could drink coffee because it's just a vibe, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
getting my caffeine in the morning, but it just doesn't sit well when my body since forever. I remember in high school, during like my senior year, I would go to my friend's house a lot. She would pour this like half gallon type of cup of coffee every morning, and I'm like, I couldn't do it. And so then I like in my adulthood or whatever, I started getting more into tea, and
Yeah.
I love tea. I love matcha tea, but I've been trying to start this little journey. My friends have been trying to push me to do something more on like the creator side, but I'm on this new adventure, on this like trying to find the best spots for matcha in San Diego. And so I've been like testing different places and kind of
Okay.
writing my notes on what I think. And then I make my own matcha at home too, I know that. But you know, sometimes it's fun to get a different like view of it. But man, when you get those bad teas, it makes me so, I feel like the Uncle Iroh, like, what is but I love tea. Like and then my friends are like, start up a tea shop. Like, no, I can't do that right now. But it's to that degree how much I
Wow,
love tea.
I didn't know that. Okay. Maybe
Yes.
you should start a tea shop later on.
That's a lot of work. I know. Okay, now you rapid fire, ready, set, go. Coffee or tea?
Definitely coffee. I not for like the whole waking up situation. I just love the taste of it, and I love the vibe. Like I love coffee shops. So my dream is go to Korea because they have a huge coffee shop culture where they're all just like super pretty. So I'm a huge coffee person for like not really the waking up aspect, just for the flavor aspect and the vibes.
See, that's what I wish, because there's so, especially in San Diego, there's so many coffee
Yeah.
shops. They have like masapan coffee,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
just so many different things. And I'm like, why can't we learn how to like do that for tea? Like, because
Start it, man.
it's rough. It's rough out there. Tea lovers that want to do those kind of fun coffee stuff, it's been rough. But and there's a few good spots, and obviously
Yeah.
like boba, like
Yeah.
but I feel boba's kind of like
own
different
genre.
than like
Yeah.
sipping tea. You know,
Yeah, no, it's different.
Yeah, it's very different. But all right, well, good to know.
Good to know. What's your go-to meal to cook?
Oh, that's super hard because I feel like I cook things very different. I don't have like a stable thing. But and yeah, not to get too much into like my diet stuff. So some of my diet lifestyles right now are changing and evolving. But what I would say, that's a really hard one to think about. I'll just say some things that I cook. So like yesterday I made some like tacos.
Yeah.
I'm currently right now like gluten free, so I'm trying to make things like with the different versions, but it doesn't always hit the same.
Yeah.
But I think if I didn't have those like restrictions, I make like, not that I would make it every day, but I love making like pozole, like
Yeah.
more like Mexican cuisine type things.
Yeah.
But with this thing, I'm trying to, I have to find ways to kind of make it happen. So right now, that question's kind of hard for me to answer.
Okay,
Yeah.
maybe I'll ask it like a few more podcasts.
Yes,
and
we'll
see
come
where you're
back.
then. Yeah.
Yeah, stay tuned for my cooking journey. All right.
First
what
is tea and then food.
Yeah. Well, no, tea, it's evolving.
Okay,
It's going.
okay,
Like,
yeah,
I
but
can
it's
talk
still a
about it.
journey, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's still, yeah. But my cooking is, yeah. I do cook, just in case the audience was wondering. I do cook, but to answer a stable cooking, it changes.
Yeah.
What about you?
Mine is a deconstructed sushi bake. So that became like viral on TikTok a few months, maybe a year ago. I don't know. The whole thing with the salmon, avocado, and the sushi rice with the chili oil and the sushi, like the seaweed. I used to do that before it became a thing on TikTok, and then I saw on TikTok. I was like, I already do this, but
Okay, trendsetter. I see you.
I just never put it on TikTok. No, but I it's just like the easiest thing to do because I buy like cooked rice for those kind of days. So that's why it's my go-to, because I can just put that in the microwave, and then the salmon I can just put in the air fryer, and usually everything else is available. So that's my go-to meal whenever I can't think of anything else.
Do you bring it to work, like for lunch, or is it more like a dinner thing?
No, it's more of like when I'm off and I don't feel like doing anything
Okay.
kind of meal. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Okay, next question. What kind of music do you enjoy?
I'm very particular with music, I think. I do listen to like different ones, but I think right now it's more like in the Mexicano regional music.
Okay.
So I know I'm a little on the older side, okay, but I really, right now, I'm really joining Javi, like so his music, if y'all are listeners to Latino music, like I really like that. I love like my Grupo Firme, all of those. And then on the like the English side, I do love Adele. I think like Adele gets me into my emotions. So, it depends like the mood that I'm in, but I would say definitely more like
Yeah.
Spanish music, or when I'm working out, definitely some like cumbia, kind of like upbeat type of things. But more,
Okay,
I would say
okay.
on the Spanish side, I listen to more.
I might need some music recs from you later for
yeah.
Spanish music, since I don't really listen to it much. But I do want to expand. For me, I just listen to anything chill, to be honest. Like all of my drives, it's usually sad music or just any kind of chill music. I don't listen to anything upbeat unless I'm with people. It's like the weirdest thing ever. Like when I'm with my mom, I listen to like upbeat, like Middle Eastern Arabic music, like especially Iraqi music. But like when I'm alone, it's just like sad English, literally whatever. It could be French, it could be Korean, it could be Chinese, even Spanish. It's all just chill music.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
interesting. So you never like to be like in a room by yourself, hyped up?
No, I don't ever.
I'm like the opposite. I'm like, I need to wake up hyped this morning. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Okay, cool. Next question. Who do you look up to?
That's big.
I
I didn't
know.
even see that as a question. Who wrote that? I don't think
Me.
I'm ready to answer this.
We can skip.
No. I can answer it. It's just, I feel there's like a lot of people,
Yeah.
right, that I feel that I can say in different live,
Yeah.
like, sectors in my life. So I could look up to this person for this,
Yeah.
this person to that. So I'm going to say two. It's kind of hard to like share my, like, these questions are hard for me to answer because I feel like there's so much that go to it.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to sit here and just like bore you all with the details. But I would say one person that I would look up to is my mom, which like biologically she's like my aunt or my tia, but she's my mom. And so I think I look up to her, to like her hard work ethic, but also just like how she be showing up for people.
Yeah.
Man, she's just, I can't even get to her level, but sometimes when I challenge myself to be like, okay, get out of your little like comfort zone and then go reach out to people, or be there sometimes. When you get into your own world, get caught up with work and everything, I think about her and like just how much she really like gives to others. So I would say in that sector, her. and like sometimes I'll be like, hey, can you do this for me? And she'll, okay, and like right
Yeah.
away, you know,
Yeah.
like no thoughts about
Yeah.
what she's doing. Like she'll, if I need it, she'll do it.
Yeah.
And so then the other person I would say in like the just like job wise, I guess, because we're recording this, you know, with our jobs. I would say Luis Perez from City College in San Diego Puente program.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a big person to look up to into like the type of the work that he does. So if
Yeah.
anyone out there knows him, you all know why, you know, I mentioned him. But he's just the role model as someone that I aspire to be in my career.
Yeah.
So there's definitely so many people that I
Yeah.
could mention. So if I didn't mention you, don't be sad. But just, you know, two folks that kind of came up to mind first.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I actually, when I wrote this question, I wasn't thinking of anyone specific at all because usually I would name people I didn't know. But I think when I wrote this question, I like had this epiphany of like, wow, I have different friends and family members in my life, and I love like certain characteristics about them or certain qualities in them, and I look up to those things where I aspire to be those things. So you know how like with a relationship with someone for so long, you start to be like them. So when I was thinking of these things, I'm like, okay, in my relationships with people, who do I want to be like the most in this area or in that area? So I think I don't have anyone specific for everything, but I have certain people's for different things. I think professionally, my mentor, Dean Argos at Southwestern, he's just been kind of super kind, super helpful, and I love what he does and just the knowledge that he has. But in my everyday life, obviously, all of my family and friends, my mom, my dad, basically everyone that I know is like super important to me. And that's kind of who I was reflecting on when I wrote the question.
Yeah, same. Like a lot of people came
Yeah,
to
yeah,
mind
yeah.
too, right? And like you mentioned, for different things.
Yeah. Okay. And then, okay, this one I'm really curious about. What was your favorite studying space in college and why?
So I think for me, when I study, it needs to be with like less distractions because I can't have
Yeah.
too much going on. I can't have people talking to me too much. So it's going to be a boring answer, but maybe for some people because they're like, want to know maybe a new spot, but don't sleep on the library. Like,
Yeah,
I
for
don't
sure.
sleep on the library. I used to love my library,
No,
like,
same.
and small, weird little cubicles
Like
that
the
were
quiet
like
spaces.
the quiet spaces where it wasn't just like noise quiet, but you could just like center yourself, and this was your block to like study
Yeah.
with. That's just me. You know, and then in college later, I like to. You know, study some things that are not like so intense that you have to
Yeah.
like study for a test, like coffee shops and stuff was cool. But really, like when I knew I needed to be effective, like community college library, I would go there. Berkeley had like several libraries,
Yeah.
you know, that I was like, oh, some of these are a little too noisy. Okay, some of these are a little too scary. So like a in between where it was like there's people, but everyone was like in their little like
Yeah.
type of cubicle thing. And then I could study with people that had the similar vibe as me. Like, hey, we'd get there, like, hey, and then
Yeah.
break and chat.
Yeah.
But you can't be talking to me the full time. Like, I can't. I have a friend, one of my close friends, Grace. We did not undergrad. We did our graduate program. I'm like, we can't be going to the coffee shops because you just talk the whole time. She's like, I know. I can't even go to coffee shops. I'm like, girl, why are you here? But yeah, you know, sometimes you do need just to like get that
Yeah.
hard energy. But if I needed to get work done, it has to be that
Yeah.
way. What about for
Alone.
yourself?
Same actually,
Okay.
especially if I have to be focused. I think I slept at the 24/7 like quiet area when I was in college at SDSU. When I want to be motivated though, it was coffee shops, specifically the one on campus, because I would see other people studying and I was like, okay, if they're studying, I should be studying too. That was kind of like one of the, like, if I didn't feel the motivation or the energy to study, seeing other people studying, whether it's in the library or at a coffee shop where it's a little bit more, you know, chill, I would kind of go there. So that was kind of my favorite two spots.
Awesome. So I know we have a few more questions, but I'm wondering to just go over just our recap, and
Yeah.
then maybe we can continue with the
Yeah.
questions. I want to make sure that we get to the audience question as well.
Yeah.
But I love this. I feel
Yeah.
like we are going to start maybe doing that with our guests.
Yes, we're going to be doing more, just getting to know the guests, rapid fire questions, things like that with the next set of guests, just because we know them a little bit before we meet them. But we also need to get to, I can't talk. We also need to get to know them. And then you all need to get to know them before you hear kind of more of their story. So just kind of having that brief conversation before we start on to the deeper questions.
Yeah, so we'll keep these going. I really loved it, actually. It was kind of fun to
Yeah,
have this
me too.
conversation and get to learn more about you. It's always fun.
Yeah.
All right, so we did want to just, where are we, Sarah, with just our episode? Just a little bit. We're not going to dive too deeply into it, but just maybe like a recap of where you're feeling with our episodes in regards to, is there anything that stood out to you? Just overall, anything.
Yeah, all the episodes that we've had so far have been so interesting and so different from each other because we've had people from very different backgrounds doing very different jobs kind of speak. And I think the coolest part was that there was a common theme or a common message through a lot of their podcasts. So that was to me like very enlightening because it's like we have a shared human experience, a common experience. So for me, what stood out for me, so what stood out for me was that it's okay to explore. The time that you have doesn't have to be structured in a way that looks like everybody else. So it can look different. So whether it takes you 2, 3, 4, 5, whether you go and you stop and you come back, whether you come back from different things, everything that you will learn through the process and everything that you can experience can be an asset in your journey that can be used. And it doesn't have to look like everybody else. And it's kind of your own journey, your own pathway. So that to me was kind of very valuable just to kind of reflect on and listen to over and over again for me and the audience, I hope.
Awesome. Yeah. And it's similar, but in a different way. I think it's just like the word, like, this is the journey, this is a process, right? And I think one of the things that kind of struck us to kind of create this podcast was to help students that were maybe feeling a little anxious, a little unsure. Like, it's a lot to make that decision when you're first coming to college of what you want to do. But I think what stood out to me is knowing that, you know, people started and then they changed and flipped different things around, different experiences, showed them different parts about themselves, about the world. And so for me, it's like, it's okay to be open to life like that. It's good to set up a plan. I'm not saying like don't plan anything, but be open to what life offers you and what life teaches you, right? Going off of those lessons. One specific, like, just story that stood out in one of our episodes, I believe it was our guest Nicole. She talked about how, you know, she got fired from her job and how she was crying and how that moment felt for her. And she ended up in an instructor's like office hours, and how that, like, in that moment they're like, no, you come to classes with me, and you know, and that really changed her journey, because there was a moment where she felt like she didn't know where she was going, but she just let life kind of take her, and then that person is still pivotal in her life now.
Yeah.
So even those, you know, little experiences that sometimes, you know, they're difficult to have, obviously, you know, sadness around it, feel through all that, but just know that you can move with life sometimes. So
Yeah.
that's what I've enjoyed. And I feel like they've all said that. And then I think the last piece is through those life journeys is using your resources. I've heard that like a lot. Use your resources, your connections to get you through this, and you're not alone. So that's the overall message that I've heard. I was re-listening to some of the episodes just because I was like, I knew we were going to recap. And I'm like, yeah, I'm hearing this throughout.
Yeah. You're definitely not alone. So please ask questions, any resource that you have. And if you don't know, ask, or even if you don't have the right question, just talk to people, because then the questions might come up while you're having those conversations.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect segue to our audience question. Okay, I'm gonna ask it, and then we can both kind of chime in. So we post a question on our Instagram for our audience members, and one of the questions was advice on transferring to a university.
come to counseling.
We are here.
Please don't try doing it on your own. That's where the resource comes in. Like, we are going to be probably one of your biggest resource, whether you come to general counseling, whether you're a first year student and you're coming to like first year experience, you're utilizing the transfer center, the career center, or any of the other kind of communities, any other resources on campus. Please utilize that kind of help, because through it we're kind of telling you what are the requirements for you to transfer, because usually they're different for different majors, for different universities. So utilizing that biggest resource and like asking to have a plan. You can have a plan for that one semester. You can have a whole plan for the entire time that you're here, and obviously that can change, and I would recommend meeting up with a counselor every single semester. But if you're not able to, just having a rough outline. And when you are in counseling, please ask about the resources that the counselor is using, and just kind of have your own knowledge to double check, to look at the different things. We usually do use different tools that you have access to as well. So you having access to them, you can update yourself, you can look at them yourself, and you can kind of just have the knowledge. I like students to be informed of what we're telling them. That way they can also make their own decisions on their own using the resources that we give them and the knowledge that we give them. So I think that would be my biggest takeaway.
Great, yeah. And that plus what I would just finish it off with is open up your opportunities. You may not know of different programs. So there's like 23 Cal States, right?
Right.
There's a bunch of UCs and private schools, HBCUs. There's just so much out there. So I would say just open up your doors. So I'm from LA, and so the schools that I knew were around me, which were, great schools. We're not knocking down that if you have to stay locally, that's fine. Everyone has different life experiences, but just look. I tell students, just look. Or even also apply. When you apply, you don't have to go to those schools that you apply to, but at least you have those decisions. And so that would be my biggest thing. And then at least for me, and in my journey that I shared in our first episode, I didn't see myself going to a UC. So I applied with the encouragement of my counselor. So I'm going to encourage that for you as well. Just apply, right? And look at these different opportunities. You may say, I'm not a UC bound student, but as a transfer student, that just looks very different than it may have for you in high school, may or may not. But so just apply widely and, expose yourself to different opportunities, go to the transfer fairs and learn about the different options out there. And see us if you're not sure where to start.
Yes, because I think the answer to this could be different for each person based on your own life experience and what your goals are. So your answer is kind of tailored to you. So hopefully when we see you, we can, and the person that asked this hopefully goes to Grossmont. So please make an appointment with us so we can have a conversation about this.
Yes, and thank you for dropping that question down. We'll definitely follow us on our Instagram page. We'll have some of those questions there. Just DM us, and if there's anything you want to see in these episodes, we'll try to make sure that we bring voice to that when possible. Yeah. But that's it. Another episode out there. We appreciate you taking your time. I hope you enjoyed to get to know us more. I definitely enjoyed to get to know Sarah a little bit more.
Same here.
See you next time. You want to close it off with anything, Sarah?
Follow us on Instagram, FYI Podcast. See you later.
Bye.
This has been the FYI Podcast with the Counselors of Grossmont College, brought to you by Zaravan Ali from Griffin Radio.